failed on health care. They have failed on health care. When they wanted to put sanctions on Russia and Iran and make trouble with people and possibly go and create a thermonuclear war and kill billions and billions of people and waste trillions and trillions of dollars fighting an enemy that doesn't, at the very least, does not want to fight with us because we are so powerful. Only an idiot would want that. And they wanted to support their constituencies, the people who pay their campaign, the military-industrial complex who provide them with millions and millions of dollars in campaign contributions and probably millions and millions of dollars to them in personal money, hiring their wives, their lovers, and on down the line. They were all for that. 98-2. Only Mr. Sanders and Mr. Paul were the only people who voted against it. Complete uniformity on something that, it's hard to argue with Rand Paul or with Mr. Sanders. They're the two sharpest people in that body. And they've come to very different conclusions about life, but they're both very sharp. Very sharp. And they are actually two positions on the healthcare debate. Now, my family member who listens to my podcast, or whatever, who listens to my talks here, he asked me what my solution was. And I would just say I would like to see Medicare for all, our single payer. I don't even like single payer. I'd like to go socialized medicine. I think we should go back to the way it was in the New Deal, where the government actually writes checks, opens clinics, trains doctors, hires nurses. I think that capitalism needs to be in the retreat, and we need to have more programs for people, since so many people are making so little money, and so many people are so pressed by their finance, by their debts, by their schools, by everything. We need that relief. So I would be in favor of something even worse, even more out than this Medicare for all, Medicaid for all. That's still a free market hospital model. I don't support that. If you're asking me, I want socialized medicine. I want to return back to the New Deal, where the government hires people. And that worked, by the way. That worked very well. Mr. Roosevelt was hired by us 4 separate times, and his vice president was hired by us on the 5th time. So that was 20 years of our history, and most people think that was nothing but continually improvement. The normal people that lived through it, not right-wing, radical, Miesian fucks, who want us all to starve if you're not good enough. That's fine. If you're living 500 years ago, and it's either your people or my people, then fine. I will go in there and do whatever I can for my people to survive. I understand that level of ruthlessness. But we don't need that at this time. We need people. We can take care of people. We can provide a planet where the 7 billion people here live in a peaceful way. But we're not doing a very good job of it. And if we stay in the way we're living, we're not. It's going to be bad. So, but on the other hand, Dr. Paul, where he says that we don't need to mandate the insurance, we don't need to make people buy insurance, the government buying all these policies are driving up the cost, where regular people who make decent money like I do, and decent money like my girlfriend, if my girlfriend and I combined it, we could afford our own insurance, we could budget it, and if we had a reasonable policy, if it wasn't $1,000 a month, if it was something reasonable, we could do it. And the policies were reasonable. And Dr. Paul has said he doesn't think that the health insurance companies need all these subsidies. But that's why it's not getting passed, folks. Because the Republican leadership is taking their bid from the from the health insurance companies, the business people that wrote Obamacare. Obamacare is a Republican proposal. It is not a Democrat. It is not socialized medicine, you idiots. It is corporate medicine, fascist medicine. That's what it is. It's a fascist model. And people now, Medicaid, yeah, that's socialized medicine after a fashion. It still needs free market. There's still a free market component where you go to the doctor and the doctor is forced to make a living on what little they pay. And if they want to be, like if they want to be in my state, there's no way they could get by without taking that. If they're any kind of regular doctor, unless they're some kind of specialist, then they can get away with it and say, we don't do that. It's very difficult in a state, and I live in a poor state. It has a lot of wealth here. There's a lot of coal here. There's a lot of energy resources. There's other industries. There's a lot of wealth here. But at this point, it's a poor state. So what I'm trying to say is that I would prefer that we go back to FDR and we go back to direct government investment. It's not going to happen. They're going to continue on with this fight, and the Republicans have failed. They've had 6 months of legislative time practically, and they've done nothing. Not a single legislative accomplishment. So, only thing I can assume, this is what the rich and the wealthy and the people who make trillions and trillions of dollars off government, or hundreds of billions off government, they and the largest, and they're paying these people off, and they are not going to do anything for us, and they assume that in 2018, we're going to hear that, you know, transsexual atheist child molesters are going to be teaching their school if they vote for the Democrats. And the other side are going to say that the Republicans want to shoot you for having an abortion. That's what we're going to hear. That's the level of debate in this country. And I think it's going to continue on because most people aren't very bright. They haven't figured this out yet. So the Republicans have failed. Trump, whether he has been neutered, whether or not he cared and wanted to do the right thing, he's not. Out.